Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I don't know what to think of this episode. Um, this episode felt like a Tuesday. It felt like a straight up filler. But just to kind of catch some people up on some of the stuff that wound up happening, which really wasn't a lot, there was a scene with Nina and Diane that just felt out of pocket. It felt out of pocket because Nina asked a very personal question for somebody who, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all two aren't friends. Y'all two aren't even on really good terms. You can already tell that you ever just met somebody who just knows right off the bat just don't like you or you just don't like them? That's the vibe that Diane is they're giving. Um, that's the vibe that Diane is they're giving Nina. So Nina asked the question of, is there anyone special in your life? Is anyone that you're seeing or whatever that's like, really special in your life? And Diane is pretty much just like, we're not friends. Like, what are you talking about? We're not friends. And so I was like, where did that even come from? Now, of course, Sonny is talking to Carly about, her trouble and everything like that. And, once again, he urges her, like, yo, listen, if you got to turn me in, do what you got to do. I can fight these charges. Like, don't worry about it. And of course, Jocelyn comes out with her little nasty stink attitude of, what are you doing here? So after that, eventually Sonny leaves. And, Carly wants to know, like, yo, what did you go and see Sonny about? And of course, Jocelyn's like, hey, I wanted to sit there and ask him to fire Dex. And Carly pretty much said the exact same thing that Sonny said. Listen, if Dex wants to sit there and leave, he'll leave. So I'm like, of course she's gonna sit there and say the exact same thing. Afterwards, they're talking about Vision and Michael, and of course, she has her issues with Michael, which she's not really sitting there saying what they really are. Which, here's the thing. Eventually, when Carly finds out what Michael has been up to, and what Jocelyn has been up to, I'm pretty sure she's going to be disappointed in them, to say the least. Not to sit there and say she's going to go full scorched earth on them, but, you know, this is going to affect Donna and everything like that. So yeah, she's going to be pissed off. So I'm just looking for the day that happens, which hopefully will be soon. Because yeah, now Sonny said something that was really interesting because I didn't really know the time frame between the threat that Ned said to Michael and Drew to the time where the SEC stepped in to really try to arrest or whatever Drew and Carly, which is like about a year and a half, or a year and change or whatever. And this is what makes this whole argument so stupid, or what makes Olivia so dumb as far as not believing Ned, because she keeps harping on the fact that, oh well, you once sided with Valentine and you did sit there and make that threat. And I'm like, so I guess we're just gonna sit there and pretend that he just sat on his hands and thumbs or whatever for like a good year or so before he decided to act on it? What sense does that make? This is why this is so stupid, and I still just can't believe that she doesn't believe him. She doesn't believe him. Now, I guess the idea is when she talked to Carly, she was like, yo, listen, he did it, but I'm going to stand by him because, well, you did commit the crime. So it's not like she's going to sit there and kick him to the curb or anything like that. She's just upset with him for what he allegedly did and how it's affecting his, her friendship with Carly. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. And of course, Drew's in there trying to get dirt on Tracy by trying to get it out of Brooklyn. Brooklyn, because Brooklyn was meant to telling the family that she's going back to deception, which struck, odd for everyone else in the room. Like, I thought you wanted to sit there and do this whole singing thing, being a manager and stuff. And of course, Tracy couldn't help but sit there and say, "Hey, listen, I helped you out. I did you a solid getting you and Chase back together." So, when Brooklyn told Drew that, "Listen, Tracy doesn't do anything without conditions." I guess the idea was maybe she was snitchy trying. I mean, I guess the idea was maybe Drew was snitchy trying to get her to flip on Tracy, or try to get information like, "Hey, listen, I help you out, you help me out, or whatever." Whatever it was, it just didn't work. It was just an epic fail. And yeah, at that point, it was like, bro, what did you even like? What was even the point of you being here? I mean, it's like you couldn't even get that one thing right to sit there and try to get any information. So it just seemed kind of pointless that you were even in this episode. Um, Sasha was there to support Willow. Michael, Amelia, and Wiley was there, and eventually, the tension between Jocelyn and Michael, could wait. She wound up hugging him and everything like that because they're there for Willow at this point. They could sit there and hash their stuff out after Willow gets better, but for right now, we gotta sit there and just kind of squash it, I guess. Now, eventually, when Sonny came back, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure Diane and her head was like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to sit there and be in the room with you alone." Sonny came in there and he was there telling, which I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so this episode, a lot of things that seemed kind of out of pocket, and this is something else that seemed like it was kind of out of pocket. Sonny's there discussing his conversation with Nina and Diane. Because Diane was like, "Listen, we could sit there and go somewhere else. We don't need to sit there and be kind of disgusting in front of, this chick." But for some odd reason, Sonny felt the need to sit there and just share his information with her. And, he was like, "Well, I think that, the SEC is coming down at Carly because of me." And he even said, "Listen, if the chips came down, I wanted her to sit there and turn me in, but she wouldn't do it." It's not Nina's like, "Oh, well, what if she does? What if she does do it? What if it's between you and her kids? She may sit there and try to do it." This is, again, Nina's trying to cause trouble for Carly at this point. Um, After that, Nina wound up leaving, and this is again, this is when I found out the time frame because I wasn't too sure how long it was between Ned's threat and the SEC actually coming through with everything. And of course, Sonny again is not believing that Ned had anything to do with it. He believes it's more of it's the feds that they're going after him, but trying to get to somebody else that he loves to sit there and get at him. Which I'm just like, I mean, granted, yes, they have done that in the past before, but somebody just seemed kind of very egotistical, you know. Like Carly can't sit there and get in trouble by herself without Sonny being there. Like, oh, they're coming after me. They're using you to come after me. It's like, my God, the ego in you is just crazy. And before I forget, there's some scenes with Robert and Anna that I swear doesn't really go anywhere. The only thing that's important that people need to sit there and know is that Holly's going. Holly went back to wherever she went to sit there and try to save Ethan from some bad men that he put himself in the position of, in the first place. Which again, I just find this whole thing with what Holly doing is just completely and utterly asinine. Because the only thing that they're doing is enabling him to go back out there and rob more people, so she can sit there and try to get more money to bail him out, so he can do it again. It's just stupid. Um, anyway, all they really sit there and do is talk about how she's gone and they didn't really work out because she's into some really sketchy stuff and he's the DA now, so yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere. But they do talk about Diane, and then Diane just shows up. Now, one of the things that Sonny did ask Diane to do was to work Robert. Because she was like, yo, listen, I went through all my contacts or whatever to try to find any information I could to help Carly. I'm out. And that's when Sonny was like, well, what about Robert? Listen, just see what you can do. Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised that she even considered doing that. But I guess this is one of those things where it's like, well, it's not really breaking the law, like hiding dead bodies. So I might sit there and try to work him a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it just seems kind of odd for her to sit there and do that. I don't know. I think that's pretty much about it. I'm gonna be honest. This episode was not really that great. The whole thing from start to finish felt like one filler. There was very little things of substance that actually mattered. Like at least for me, as far as like the time frame and um oh, and the conversation with Sasha and Willow talking about Nina and um what's her name, Harmony. Like as far as like, oh, who would I think about last in my final hours or whatever, which again just seemed very dreadful. This whole stuff with Willow is just very dreadful and sad and depressing scenes. Um, I didn't, at that point I was like, I didn't even really care about them talking about Nina at this point. It was just like, yeah, this whole episode again. Watch it if you want. I'm not sitting there saying it's kind of a bad episode. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a bad episode. Like you can generally skip this episode, watch my review, watch Brock TV's review, you'll be caught up. Nothing of importance actually happened in this episode. I think this is the reason why this video came out so late because I literally sat here and struggled for like a good 20 something minutes and being like, what the hell actually happened in this episode? And part of me was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't even bother to do a review. Like for me personally, when an episode is so dry and it's so filler, it's like I feel like it. I feel like the video isn't going to be good because of that. You know, I know Brock always sit there and say, it's our job as reviewers to sit there and put a little season on it, but I'm like, there's only so much season I can put on an episode that's just so basic, like bare minimum. I don't know. You can watch it if you want to put it as background, but eh. Now I don't think they're actually going to do anything on Monday because I think Monday is still Memorial Day or whatever. So I think they're going to start on Tuesday, and hopefully Tuesday will be a much better episode than whatever this was supposed to be. But I don't know. Watch. Let me know in the comment section if you actually liked it. Please point out something that's actually good, so this way I can have something to talk about for tonight's live stream. Because as I stand right now, I got buckets. Okay, whatever you want to think, call that, I got nothing. But I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I probably missed one or two things. If I did, we'll talk about it during the live. Whatever those mysterious things was that probably weren't really too important. But we'll talk about it anyway. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Laters.